Most of the hunting seasons have wrapped up across the country, with the exception of a few of the desert quail seasons, and then obviously the spring snow goose season is just getting underway as those birds make their way back north. I thought I'd share another video out of the field emergency and first aid course that's going to be launched in the next couple of weeks about one of the issues that I think that most people overlook, and that is infectious diseases. When we travel to hunt these birds, we're exposing our dogs to diseases that might not be common in our area. So a dog that travels to that desert Southwest and looking for things, like valley fever, or the dog in the Northwoods that might be exposed to Lyme disease, or that retriever out in Kansas and leptospirosis. There are things that might not occur in the practice that you're taking your dog to when they become sick. And so it's important to be aware of that issue. And so I thought I would share this video out of our post-hunt issues module in this upcoming course. I think one of the biggest things I've seen change over the course of my hunting lifetime is the mobility of hunters. It used to be a big deal to travel even one state away from your home grounds for a hunt. Now I know people that spend their fall traveling from Canada to South Texas and everywhere in between. And it's not one or two trips a year, it's trip after trip from September until February. One thing that doesn't often get discussed with this style of hunting is that your dog is being exposed to all kinds of infectious diseases that you may not have in your home area. I think so often we think that when a dog gets sick, it's likely from the same things no matter what. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case, particularly with dogs out in wild places. The diseases we see here in the Dakotas can be different from those in the Northwoods and vastly different from those in the desert Southwest. I didn't include this video as a scare tactic. Generally speaking, we don't see a lot of infectious diseases in happy, healthy hunting dogs. This is more so to be conscious of this possibility should your dog get sick. If you came into the clinic tomorrow with pain in the bones or joint, my list of possible causes would suddenly be different if I knew you had been rough grouse hunting in northern Minnesota last fall or took a winter trip to chase desert quail in Arizona. We don't see Lyme disease or valley fever here in South Dakota, but with dogs that visit those areas, I'd certainly have it on my list. The same applies on the vaccine front. I don't vaccinate any of my patients for Lyme disease, but if you had a cabin up north or spent the fall chasing woodcock, I'd certainly recommend it and have a different talk about tick protection than I would with the typical dog in my practice. Our knowledge of these infectious diseases changes as well. I don't think of myself as old, but when I think about it, I was in vet school a quarter century ago, or as the kids like to say these days, in the late 1900s. There are 2 points we had in lecture, one in bacteriology and the other infectious diseases, that have stuck with me all these years for how obscenely wrong they were. We were told very distinctly that Lyme disease was not a disease that affected dogs. Boy, were they wrong. The second was that we would never see a case of distemper in our careers. The thought was that it had essentially been eradicated through vaccines. Here again, I don't think even that short of time ago, people envisioned the amount of travel we would be doing with our dogs, or that we'd have rescue organizations bringing in strays from all over the country and from areas where vaccination is essentially non-existent. Not only do we see distemper today, we see it somewhat regularly. The point is, it is vitally important to make your veterinarian aware of what you do with your dog and where you travel, both from a vaccination perspective as well as to give the full picture should your hunting partner get sick.